And we are on, and I'd like to welcome everybody. Welcome to Oakland Better Birth Foundation's YouTube channel and our segment on that channel called Two Black Women Talking. And today, those two wonderful Black women will be discussing pregnancy and childbirth and issues like that. Really, thank you for giving time to this video, and want to request that you please, after you listen to it, and if you found it informative, please feel free to like the video and to become a member of our channel so you can see other videos that we're making along the lines of life and love and health and God and babies and all kinds of wonderful things.
Yes.
Take a look at the Oakland Better Birth Facebook page, and you will see that we're talking about various amounts of various different topics. I am Samsara Morgan. I'm the Executive Director of the Oakland Better Birth Foundation, Nia Healing Center for Birth and Family Life, and the Better Birth Association of Harlem, New York. And I'm saying hi to you. Who are you?
Hi, I am Reverend Stacy Virginia Reed. I am a life coach in the making, ordained Reverend, goddaughter to the doctor. So it's an honor again to be here, and I'm very excited about the work that we're doing and the videos and just the discussions, the real discussions, because I believe that it's definitely helping me personally, and then also to be able to share with other women who may have the same issues or questions or just want to think on the level of the different topics that we do together. So I think we're doing great work, and I look forward to sharing.
I completely agree. So what we're going to be doing is having a conversation-ish about the issues of pregnancy and birthing. What I've asked Stacy to do is to pick 10 questions that she'd like to ask me. Stacy has grown up with me. I've known her since she was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I've always been a birth worker around her. And she, being a young woman, is not yet a mommy, would like to be. My nosiness was about, okay, well, what would you ask if you had the space and time to ask about this topic? Like, what would you want to know? Because I know that would be a point of education for other mamas to be, or parents to be, because it's also something for men to consider as well. So this video is going to have 2 parts, and we will address the first 5 questions that Stacy has come up with. I don't know what the questions are. I am just sitting here ready to answer anything, because I feel very secure that after 40 years of doing this thing, I think there's no questions that I can't answer on the subject, or at least refer to deeper information if I don't know. So this will be video 1, and then we'll follow up next week probably with video 2 with 5 more questions.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds really good. I'm excited because I have a million questions, and
gotta do 10.
I can only do 10, and now I can only do 5. So
maybe we could do more videos on that. So
yeah, maybe so. Because we're always learning, right?
Exactly.
So I guess for me, because I have not birthed or ever been pregnant, I'm very curious to know, I guess, maybe the difference between having, regular menstrual symptoms, cycles, whatnot, versus what happens to your body initially outside of the, the no-brainers like morning sickness or the stereotypes that you hear or see on TV as far as what happens when a woman initially gets pregnant. Like, what is that? And I know every woman is different, but if you could maybe talk a little bit about what could possibly be different, or some signs or signals that, hey, this is not a normal, oh, I'm PMSing situation, that I might really be pregnant. And what are some of those maybe fear factors to just be aware of, so that if and when the time does come that I get pregnant or another woman gets pregnant, that they don't just freak out as far as, oh my goodness, I'm pregnant, and then kind of maybe rushing to poor behaviors or responses to that, depending on where they are in their life. So again,
Well, yeah, that is a very
does
good
that make sense?
question.
Okay.
That's a very good question. I mean, I think that's one of the things I try really hard to work with folks, and especially folks who, of course, are not pregnant yet. Okay,
Right.
it is important, I feel, for us to live our lives consciously every day of our lives as best we can.
Mm-hmm.
And that being the case, we as fertile women or fertile people need to know that that conception is possible at any time.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be that someone gets pregnant and freaks out. Okay. Little technical difficulties, but we're back now. You want to
Yes.
repeat the question?
So the initial question is, how can someone like myself, who's never experienced being pregnant or giving birth, to know the difference, the, I guess, natural difference in your body, that you are pregnant, as opposed to just these are normal menstrual symptoms, my cycle is here, or cramping, etc., something that we've been experiencing every month? How would we possibly, not always, I know it's not a guarantee, but what are some of the physical symptoms that we can look for, along with maybe emotional, possibly, that, hey, this is different than just the normal PMS feeling that I'm getting, that I might really be pregnant this time? Because I can't wait for that moment.
Well, what I wanted to recommend around that for fertile people is to be very consciously aware of how their body works long before they are pregnant, and
Okay.
in being engaged in sexuality that is intentional. So you don't have to worry about going, ooh, am I pregnant? Well, yeah, you're pregnant because you know when your fertile time is, and if you accept sperm into your body during your fertile time, there's nothing to guess,
Okay.
right?
So,
So that's one of those things that there is a way of managing your fertility. Natural family planning is very powerful in that. There's different kinds of natural family planning, which allows the woman to know her cycle, to know when her fertile days are.
okay.
These natural family planning techniques are helpful for trying to achieve a pregnancy or trying to avoid a pregnancy, right?
Okay.
We are in a culture where we're used to putting a pill in our mouth every month and letting the medication tell us information about ourselves that we should know for ourselves.
Right.
And also dealing with the possible toxicity of the medicine that we're taking in, because the birth control pill is really not a very healthy substance.
Right.
So I can include, I'm not going to look at, I can do a whole other seminar on natural family planning, the different techniques of natural family planning. And I really do believe that we should be teaching young women natural family planning when we have their party to celebrate their first period, which I do help people are doing for their daughters. We're teaching them, yay, welcome to womanhood. This is your body and your cycle. This is how it's going to work, and
Right.
this is how uh, you can not be like a victim of your sexuality or a
Right.
victim of your sensuality.
Right.
Okay. Well, also to note, like for folks who are Catholic Christians, um, Catholicism does not support chemical birth control at all, um, but has no problem with natural family planning done within the context and the understanding there's marriage and commitment. And two
Okay.
people are working with what God has given them to either have children or to put off having children for a better time in their relationship. It's important to know that all of the natural family planning methods are as effective as the pills, the same 98 point blah 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 percent,
Right. Right.
right? With no side effects. no worry about getting cancer 20 years down the road because you've been on it since you were 15, right? Or not being able to achieve fertility because you've been on it since you were
Right.
15. Right? Does
Right.
that address what you were saying?
Yes. Yes. Well, it leads to a couple of other questions
Go for it.
because I would be very interested in educating myself with those natural family
Natural family planning. Mm-hmm.
planning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so is that like a service you offer as a doula, or?
I specifically, I mean, not all doulas might know about it, but I certainly know about it. And I
Okay.
certainly know about it as a Catholic person. Like if you're preparing to get married in the Catholic Church, they teach it to you then,
Okay.
because we're not expecting that, we're away from the kind of old patriarchal thinking and looking at like God is not stupid. And
Mm-hmm.
God knows that, people can't just keep having babies year after year, that is not affirming to the spirit of that family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that there's a way, the concern is when we do things that are forcing the body to do something. The birth control pill puts your body on a full cycle. Actually, it works by making your body think it's already pregnant,
Right.
right? So that's why you get bloated very often if you're on the chemical birth control, right? You have
Right.
the symptoms of a woman in early pregnancy, you just never get to have a baby,
Right.
right? And then when you get to the off-colored pills, your body, the hormone levels drop to allow you to have a period. And
Right.
then there's some chemical birth controls, the Depo-Provera and the other kinds of birth controls where you don't have a period at all. You have a period like twice a year, which is
Right.
really unhealthy for the woman's cycle.
Right. Now, can you elaborate more on the symptoms that goes along with the first question? Are they different? Are they different than PMS symptoms like tender breast or headaches or
They're all
tired?
about the same. I mean, honestly, if we're totally healthy, you might not have a bunch of symptomology at all. There's a lot that we accept as normal in our culture, but that's because women are poorly nourished, don't exercise, not taking supplements, they're eating
Right.
a lot of junk food and organic food. So we have a lot more sickness symptoms in being pregnant
Right.
that women in other cultures or women who are living closer to the land, who are walking miles a day, who, are eating food that's grown right out of the ground in their backyard, might not
Right.
have the same symptomology, right?
Right.
So just across the board, symptom that you're pregnant would be you don't have a period,
Right.
right? Your breasts are more tender.
Mm-hmm.
Some folks feel kind of sleepy because if
Mm-hmm.
the hormones or levels are shifting and changing, you feel kind of sleepy. That might make you more emotional,
Mm-hmm.
more quick to cry, more
Mm-hmm.
quick to, you know,
Right.
feel more deeply. It's not necessarily, I mean, some people have a lot of negative symptoms, but it's not necessarily that. Some people feel a lot more sexy. Some people feel a lot more like they're
Mm-hmm.
hungry.
Right.
All of a sudden they find themselves making an extra sandwich for their lunch.
Right.
And
Right.
so, um, but definitely that it could be a wide range of symptoms based on the person and based on their health.
Okay. And so that leads to my second question,
Mhm.
which may have multiple A, B, C, D questions because it's concerning having a plan prior to getting pregnant that say you want to be pregnant futuristically, but you have some health concerns such as asthma, such as smoking,
Mhm.
such as possibly drinking or whatever. Maybe your diet isn't that great, um, exercise, etc. What would be, I guess, a good start plan as far as getting a woman, even in her later stages of life, like me in the 40s, which it gets more complicated the older you get. So where would you start as far as making a a health plan to prepare to get pregnant? Let's say I know I have all of these health issues, but I want to be pregnant. Like, I don't want to have to stop smoking when I get pregnant. I would like to stop smoking before I get pregnant. So what would be maybe a couple of steps that a woman could do with health challenges or concerns?
Well,
prior?
you get to sit down and make a list of the things that you want to improve about your life, and then the improvement has to come because you want to improve, not just because you want to get pregnant.
Okay.
Right. So you got to decide that you are sick of polluting your body, and you want to be healthy just because you want to be healthy. Because if you're focused on the pregnancy, then that adds a layer of stress that makes pregnancy not likely to happen.
Okay, I didn't think about that.
A stressed out person, pregnancy happens when, generally speaking, when we're mammals like all the other mammals. And if we are safe and happy and contented and loved, right?
Right.
We're more likely to have all those chemicals flow the way they're supposed to flow. And if we're having sex on a fertile day, boom, 9 months to a baby.
Wow.
But if you are stressed out, poorly nourished, fretting, stressing, doubting, that makes it less likely for all those happy hormones to run in your body to help create a pregnancy.
Got you. That makes sense.
Yeah, oxytocin is the love hormone, right? And oxytocin needs to flow. It flows between lovers. It allows pregnancy to happen. It allows labor to start. It allows breast milk to be produced. Love is the key in the whole process.
Right.
So the more that we love ourselves first and foremost, then choosing a mate who magnifies that love, and then we can return that love to him, so that he is also magnified in love. We create a little puddle of love.
Okay.
So you make a list of the things that are problematic for you, like a history of asthma is problematic. Some folks have weight issues. Some folks have substance problems or various addictions. And then take a look at where are your resources to address those things. If you're struggling with drugs and alcohol, then my first step would definitely be to seek out the 12 steps. Do you need therapy? Therapy is good for addressing all of those things. You can talk about the weight loss issues in therapy. You can talk about drugs issues. You can talk about self-esteem in therapy. And then you also have to look at whatever your blocks are to making those solid changes. We get addicted to our misery.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Absolutely.
And then that's one of the reasons why sometimes it's really hard to lose weight, because once we start to lose weight and we get a lot of positive response from that, we actually kind of recoil and go back to eating the Lay's potato chips.
Right.
So it's important to kind of take a look at, well, okay, what is that? What are we afraid of? God is constantly trying to bless us. And so if I'm not feeling blessed, what's going on?
Right.
There is a way that we block those things from ourselves.
Right.
Then there's a piece about us being African American women in a country that hates us.
Yes, absolutely.
So we have to bear that in mind at all times too, and to in our belief system, with the help of God, overcome that.
Right.
Not let that hold us down. That is a reality. It's not a joke. People say, "Oh, it's not real." No, it's real.
Very real.
It's very real, but it does not have to keep me down. It does not have to keep me from accomplishing what I need to do for myself. And overall, African American women are very successful at that. We have a way of taking a deep breath and saying, "Yeah, y'all hate me, but I'm still the CEO, so whatever."
Right. Exactly.
But there's a lot of extra pressure that comes with that.
Yes.
Having to push through all of that racism. So we need to be aware that that is affecting us, and it affects us every day. How do we address that? Prayer, meditation, journaling, therapy again, good friends, real friends,
Right.
Solid friends. Women need connection with other women.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
We need connection with other women, and they need to be healthy women. Either women as healthy as we are right now, or women a little bit healthier so we can reach up to them.
Right. Right. Very important to have a support group.
Yes. And we need our elders who are
Mm-hmm.
sane. We need sane, balanced elders. And that's kind of hard because sometimes my generation upsets me, and I have a feeling that we do not provide the example that we need to provide for younger women. But there
Right.
are women out there who are committed and living a lifestyle that you would want to emulate.
Right.
You know, it's like in 12-step groups, they talk about finding somebody who has what you want, like when you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for a sponsor, you're listening to people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
You connect yourself with someone who has what you want
Right.
and pick their brains and learn from them.
Right.
Right. And we
Right.
should be doing that for each other. And, you can do that for women younger than you.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
what you have been through is a testimony that a woman in her 20s can be making notes. Ooh, well, I can skip that. I can skip that because she taught.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Okay, that's good.
It could
Third.
be several videos.
Yeah, I know. It really, I could go on and on. So the third question, and I think this is very relative to the whole COVID-19 new world that we're living under and in regards to, again, health challenges, making sure you're emotionally, spiritually, just like the whole woman, right? Is it a good idea for women to, prior to pregnancy, to look also at their finances? Especially now, I mean, I'm a government contractor and trying to be life coach, minister always. But as far as like the job market and then the security of income and what you can do and what you can't do, especially, again, depending on the age, right? There is a lot of pressure of, I need to have a baby right now. And you constantly remind me that, okay, do you just want a baby or do you want to be a mother? Like there's a difference. So,
You would be a parent, exactly.
right. So I guess this would be my fourth and fifth question. The difference between, I just want to have a baby because I feel like I should have a baby, and I've always wanted to have a baby, and the birthing and the labor and the experience of that, versus having that, but also just like a wedding. Do I want to be married or have a wedding? And so that would, if you can make that my fifth final question, the difference between, I want to be pregnant versus becoming a mother. And then the fourth question prior to that would be, how would a woman at any age really construct or start planning? I mean, what do you do? Start a separate savings account or like to plan to have a baby? I mean, not a college fund, but literally like this money is set aside so I can use it for the first couple years of being pregnant. I know that kind of sounds silly, but is there a plan?
Silly at all. It's not silly at all. I'm just smiling because it's charming. And I'm thinking about how to answer it. It's not silly at all. But what I would say is this. The things that I feel are very important to be, if you're going to be saving to have a baby, first of all, you're going to take care of all that internal work. You're going to be putting your time and attention on the fact that you are preparing your body to receive, this precious gift of human life, right? And you are already partnered, or you are seeking partnership with someone who is like-minded. And you're not going to be wasting time with somebody who's just trying to play when you want to marry and when you want to be a parent.
Right.
So that person is on board with you, has a similar commitment to his health and finances, because unhealthy men make unhealthy sperm. not just
Right.
all on the woman, right?
Right.
So we have
Right.
two people who love each other, who want to create life together, and they start by the home that they build together. So yeah, there are conversations about finances and all those things, and just being able to support yourselves from the basics, from the get, like in your relationship as you move forward. If you're doing the wedding thing, you have to get
Right.
together and plan a wedding budget. How constructively do you do that?
Right.
Do you need to
Right.
spend two? Do you need to spend $100,000 on a wedding?
Right.
Personally, I think that's a tremendous waste of funds.
Yes, it is.
Okay, you can have
Yeah.
a perfectly beautiful wedding for not all that. Gorgeous
Right.
wedding.
Right.
You can have a beautiful white wedding and not. That's a down payment on a house. Like
Yes.
$100,000, go buy yourself a nice piece of property. Okay?
Absolutely.
So do you both feel the same way about that? Do you negotiate those things well?
Right.
That's great.
Right.
In my humble opinion, this is all my opinion based on my life experience and working with people and having lived in this body for 60 years, is that people need to put aside the money to be able to hire a midwife
Yes.
and a doula
Okay.
or a birth center,
Right.
because those things are not regularly covered by health insurance.
Right. At
Okay?
all.
In the
Mm-hmm.
Bay Area, a home birth is going to cost you about $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
In the wide world of sports, that's really not a lot.
Right.
People don't realize, because you might be making your premium on your health care, if your health care even covers pregnancy, because a lot of health care does not cover pregnancy. So that's something you want to take a look at and make sure.
Wow.
There's a lot of health care that does not cover anything to do with pregnancy. It will cover your OB visits.
Mm-hmm.
If you get pregnant, they will not cover you. So double check that. That's one of the
Okay.
ways that sometimes employers save money on their health care, because they have to pay part of it. And they
Right.
give you the cheaper insurance that doesn't cover important things like that.
Okay.
Right? And then you're pregnant, and then you're shocked to find out that nothing about the pregnancy is covered. So
Right.
into that.
Right.
But
Right.
be that as it may, for sure, it's not going to cover home birth, and it's not going to cover you to have a doula. Right?
Okay.
And those are really, really important uh, part of your team, your baby team.
Mm-hmm.
People who are going to give you holistic advice, not fear-based advice, not medically minded advice. Because you, at 40, having a baby, they're going to tell you you're a geriatric pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel?
It doesn't feel good at all.
No.
I'm too old to have a baby.
Well, nobody knows that. I've had several clients, many clients in their early 40s have babies.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more about the person's health than their age.
Right. Okay.
And it's also more about the fact that the older you've been able to live on this planet, the more fear about childbirth you get to have accumulated.
Right.
Negative information.
Right.
About birth that have accumulated, and it's in your head and
right.
affecting your fertility and affecting your self-esteem. So if you're going to a healthcare provider who already feels that you're geriatric,
mm-hmm.
the prognosis is not really good and positive. But if you're going to a healthcare provider who's going to look at your health
mm-hmm.
and make decisions about you about that, which is
right.
much more realistic. There are 16-year-olds, right?
Right. Right.
Speaking, healthy 16-year-olds give birth like nobody's
right.
birth. But if
right.
that 16-year-old is sick, they're not going to give birth well.
Right.
So it's much more about your health than your age. And it's much more about being prepared for the fact that the things that you're going to need to have a holistic pregnancy, to have holistic pregnancy care, you're going to have to pay that out of pocket.
Okay.
And for that.
And you gave like an estimate for home birthing, but you also mentioned the doula, the midwife, and then if you're not doing home birthing, that would be like a home birthing center. So
if you go to a birthing center, it's about the same as a home birth midwife. It's the same $7,000.
Okay. And as far as budgeting for a doula and midwife, what would
Well,
that?
the midwife is the $7,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
doula, it depends on the experience of the doula, how long she's been practicing. I've been practicing a long time. The top end of my sliding scale is $3,100.
Okay.
Like about three grand for your doula.
Right. Okay.
Okay? Now,
So overall, it's under a used car, about 10 grand. And I believe, aren't medical bills way higher than that?
way higher than that, but they trick us because we only see our monthly premium. And we go, that's okay. I'm only paying $400 a month or $300 a month or whatever
Right.
we're paying for our premium. But when
Right.
it costs the whole group,
Right.
it's spread out amongst that whole group. And so we think that we're getting a deal. We're really not.
Right.
Okay. So if you just go through a natural birth and just have your baby without medications and have an unassisted birth, you're healthy and you can do that, you save thousands of dollars. A C-section is like $50,000.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Did not know that.
Because in this country, this is the only country where it's like that. In other countries, it's illegal to make money off of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
The United States of America, the more stuff that's done to you, the more stuff they can bill for, and the more profits they can make.
Right, like $500 for a Tylenol. Absolutely.
So,
wow.
Keeping it all simple, keeping it all super healthy. You cannot have high blood pressure and have a home birth. You cannot have diabetes and have home birth. Those are issues of sickness. And so you have to work. And of course, type 1 diabetes is different. Type 1 diabetes, one is born with. Then there's you have to be medicated and you do your best. And there are type 1 diabetics who've had babies, but they do need medical supervision. Type 2 diabetes, nobody has to have. Diet and other things, diet, lifestyle, and other things. So, we keep our weight if we don't have our body struggling to carry the extra weight, then our body has the room to prioritize being healthy.
Right.
Sometimes folks who are carrying too much weight, it's also true for people who are too skinny. You won't get pregnant.
Right.
Sometimes I've worked with clients where they need to put on 15 pounds.
Right.
Because they were too thin. You don't have the fat stores. You need to have the fat, a certain amount of fat stored. Pregnant ladies are round and juicy.
Right.
So you need those fat stores to allow a fertilization to take place, a conception to take place. So, and then there are folks who are too much on the other side where the body's too much stressed with the overburden of holding on to the weight. And so the body puts all of its energy into just keeping us alive. If the body is just working to keep your brain working, to keep your heart beating, keep your lungs pumping, it doesn't have time to prioritize a pregnancy.
Right.
And in nature, why should a sick animal be allowed to reproduce?
Wow.
Now, you can go to IVF and they might be able to force a baby in you.
Right. Right. Right.
IVF is in vitro fertilization, is incredibly expensive and very often does not work.
Now, if during the birthing process at home, say, has there ever been a time where you had to rush somebody to the hospital or they did need the UDI or, I'm sorry, whatever medicine they numb you with? I don't know what.
Epidural?
The epidural, like, has that ever happened that, okay, we thought we could do a home birth, but now we're rushing to the hospital?
The rushing to the hospital part, no, I've never had that experience because midwives don't let it get to that point. Midwives will be tracking your labor, and if things are not going in the direction that is optimal and healthy and safe, they're going to be talking to you about that.
Okay.
And a good midwife, her job is to move people to the hospital before everybody's crashing and burning. She's not going to take the crashing and, she's not going to do that. First of
Okay.
all, she would know before you even got into labor whether you were going to be crashing and burning. A good amount of time, you know that.
Okay. Okay.
Things, it's very rare that things just magically go wrong.
Hmm.
There are signs and symptoms along the way,
Right.
and the midwife tracking that, and the midwife talking to you, the pregnant person, about it all the way through.
Okay.
So if you're, thing that pops into my mind right now, like if you're in labor and your blood pressure is spiking all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
and she's tracking that, and maybe she'll address that with herbs, and if it's not responding, we might move you into the hospital to have you be more closely monitored, and do that in a nice, calm way
Mm-hmm.
before there's a great big calamity. If there
Right.
were calamities with midwives at the helm, then there would be no midwives, and the medical profession would be very happy to get rid of home birth midwifery.
Right.
But they don't play like that with people. They're very, very, very cautious and give very personal care. Like the midwife will know you. She's not seeing 100 people at a time.
Right.
The
Right.
doctor could literally be seeing 100 people
At
a
a
week.
time.
And,
Right.
you to remember everybody's little story, and
Mm-hmm.
right, it's challenging. Even if they want to, it's hard to.
Right.
And then that doctor's not going to be with you when you give birth. The
Right.
doctor that you've been going to all your prenatals to, when you
Mm-hmm.
show up at the hospital to give birth, that doctor might get a call the next day that their client gave birth and come visit you in the hospital, maybe. But it's
Right.
very rare, unless your doctor is on call that night that you go into labor. You won't see your hospital, you won't see your doctor, and the doctor won't stay till your baby is born. If that
Right.
shift is over, the doctor's shift is over, she's going to say, bye,
Mm-hmm.
wish you
Yeah.
luck. I'll come
Right.
by tomorrow and see you and the baby.
Right.
Right? With the
Yeah.
midwife, you have that continuous care all through the pregnancy, all through your labor and delivery. That practitioner
Relationship.
knows you specifically.
Okay. Hey, I'm for that route. I don't know about anybody else, but that's definitely the route I want to take.
Mhm.
Excellent. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so the big money pieces that people need to take a look at are the fact that, you know, there are really good documentaries that folks take a look at, like Ricky Lake's The Business of Being Born lays out what's up with birth and why home birth might be a good idea or
Can
blessed.
you repeat that? What is it
The
called?
business of being born.
Is that on Netflix or?
Sometimes it's on Netflix. Every once in a while, it's on YouTube until they suck it off. Or you
Okay.
can just go buy a copy of it. It's not expensive, and it's a good documentary to have and share with other women or other people who are considering parenting.
Okay.
Just getting that plan in place. Whether you want, some people swear that they want to have a hospital experience, and uh, that's not my that wouldn't be my calling. But everybody has the right to birth where they want to and with the people they want to birth with. If you are
Mhm.
choosing that you're going to birth in the hospital, then please have a doula. And that video breaks down why that is important.
Okay.
The history of birth, specifically in this country, which is different than anywhere else on the planet.
Right.
And it's also important for us to know that this country loses the most mothers and babies in childbirth than any other industrialized country. And of those losses, the ones who experience the most loss are African Americans. So more of us die, and more of our children die before their first birthday.
Right.
Right? And there's many reasons for that,
Mm-hmm.
and very little of it has to do with Black women being unable to birth their babies.
Right.
We started to look a lot at issues of racism and white supremacy that make that possible.
Right.
So we have to arm ourselves with the knowledge of all that, get the appropriate healthcare providers to support our goals, who don't look at us as a broken problem, because just
Right.
being Black will get you considered high risk. Just because
Right.
you're Black.
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Yeah, so you need to have somebody who thinks differently than that, who encourages you to stay on a healthy road
Mm-hmm.
and cheerleads you on that healthy road
Mm-hmm.
and sets up an environment where your body can do this. Women
Right.
in comas have delivered vaginally.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
if that can happen unconscious, why not be awake and aware and participating with your body?
Right.
You know, and as Christian women, we want to look at that, how this is, we're talking about wanting to be a wanting to have a baby as opposed to wanting to be a parent.
Right.
And we need to be reminded that parenting is a ministry.
Mm-hmm.
You're called to parenting. Not everyone is called to parenting, and that's
Right.
fine. Not everybody's called to ministry.
Right.
That's
Right.
fine. That does not
Right.
mean that you don't have a viable, wonderful life. You don't have to have a baby. Some people have that feeling like, oh, I'm not a woman if I haven't had a baby. That's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
Okay, so that's one of those things to kind of look at. Do I want to have a child because I feel like less than a woman? If I
Mm-hmm.
don't have one, then
Mm-hmm.
that's not in service of God or yourself, right? Do I want to have a baby because I do want to have this experience of growing life and then tending that life?
Right.
Some people stay pregnant because I know I enjoyed being pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I loved being pregnant.
Right.
And there are some people who stay pregnant
Mm-hmm.
because just the hormones of being pregnant and just being round and juicy is
Mm-hmm.
adorable. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we live in the United States of America, and those children have to be fed. So while you're all enjoying being juicy,
It's
you
a
need to
huge
make,
responsibility.
yeah. And then once these little ones are born, then it's a commitment of breastfeeding. When you're used to running around and doing your own thing, then
Right.
I hear so much, oh, the baby wants to nurse all the time. You have to nurse the baby. Oh my God, every hour? Really? Yeah, that's what your newborn needs.
Right.
You need to be laid up in your bed with your baby. No, you shouldn't be checking your Facebook. No, it's not the time to be on the computer. It's time to be hanging out. Nice music's okay. Maybe something sweet on TV, but it's you and your child.
Right.
You are bonding with your child. The child is relaxing after being born. Your body is healing after having given birth. Your body is making milk, which is a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work for your body. That's part of the reason why mamas will lose their baby weight quicker when they breastfeed than when they bottle feed.
Mm-hmm.
You're burning up calories making
Right.
milk for your child. Just thinking
Right.
about that is, it is definitely so godly that
Right.
you can provide sustenance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you eat one person eats and you feed two people.
Right. Yep. Amazing.
Then you need a partner who's going to support all that, who's not going to crack jokes and who's not going to try to dissuade you from breastfeeding. I've seen some unfortunately immature partners make negative comments like, "Oh, those are mine," and have a
Mm-hmm.
problem with their baby's breastfeeding.
Right.
Okay, so along those the earlier,
Right.
story about picking your team. Now you have
Right.
a partner who's proud that you're nursing his child, and
Mm-hmm.
that you too have made the commitment that you want that to be your child's first food for as long as possible.
Right. It could be a beautiful experience.
It can be a very beautiful experience,
Mm-hmm.
and it is very important to to check in with yourself, talk to your spiritual guides, if you're tight with your minister, if you talk to therapists, trusted friends, and make sure that you feel called to do it.
Right.
Because when you feel called to do it, everything falls in your path to help it happen. Much
And
easier.
and also I can say I feel called to do it, but if the fruit of my tree has complications and other areas that need working,
Mm-hmm.
it would be my responsibility also to go forth with that. As far as what we just discussed in questions
Health-wise,
1 through 5, health wise, financially, just having a plan and making sure you're loving you first to become the best mother you can be.
Yes.
After the pregnancy. So, that for me is key.
Yep.
Or the biggest takeaway that I can say almost with tears in my eyes, I want a baby, I want to be a mom, But when I start really thinking about all the things that we've, covered or mentioned, that I know personally I need to work on, basically doing the work to get what you want to get. That's important. That's the biggest takeaway, that being mature and having a plan also includes doing and showing and putting the life work in with your personal health and finances, whatever that looks like for you first.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's true of anything viable in our lives. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to sell real estate, if you want to be a mama, you want to be a partner, right? Then you have to have the plan in place. And there might be some deviations to your plan, but if you have nothing at all, you're all over the place.
Right.
And so every day, like say if you're going to be losing weight, you have to check in with yourself, like, why am I eating these potato chips right now?
Right. Exactly.
Why am I choosing to not love myself right now, and not beating yourself up for it? Just honestly asking the question, talking to your inner child, because sometimes you get an answer. Like I don't, I ask my inner child questions and she's like, well, sweetie, what's going on? We're not supposed to be eating that. And she's like, I don't like myself, or I'm lonely.
Right.
I'm scared. Right. And then I need to go love myself. I need to go walk out in the sunshine. I need to say my prayers. I need to call a good friend.
Right.
Schedule a therapy appointment. I need to meet my authentic needs. Rather, those chips were not the thing. My inner child would settle for the chips. She needs so much more than that.
Right.
Let me because I'm worth it. Let me get me and all of me, inner me, what I really need, and not settle. Settling is the biggest sin there is, in my opinion. Because God wants to give us everything.
Everything.
And we settle for that. God wants to give us that.
Right. Amen. That's a great word. Thank you. This is awesome. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. These are great questions.
Thank you.
And I can't wait for us to talk some more. This is really good.
Excellent.
And I just feel so wonderful right now. I just feel so blessed. I just feel like we've had a blessing together. So to close, I just want to extend this blessing to anybody who watches this video. Please feel free to leave comments below if you have questions or want to share your own journey for preparation and thought. The interesting thought about wanting to have a baby versus wanting to be a parent. That dynamic is very interesting to talk about and think about. When this video is all produced, I'm going to find a link to the video where you can purchase the video, The Business of Being Born. I believe that they have a website, thebusinessofbeingborn.com, where you could buy it right from the people who produce it, which is Ricky Lake and a friend of hers who is the producer of the film as well. It's a powerful, powerful film. Also, Ricky Lake is also getting ready to do a video looking at the birth control pill, which I think is going to be really, she's going to get some hate mail, but she's going to get love from me, because I really do think that women need to have more and better information about that medication and understand that it is really not the best for us for our long-term health.
Right.
But she's talking about that on her website, so folks can plug in and talk about that. So here are two Black women talking. I'm Samsara Morgan, and you are?
Stacey Reed.
We wish you a blessed and wonderful day and look forward to seeing you at our next video.
Thank you.
Thank you.